All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome in to a victorious Whiskey and Wine. I think this is a record-setting final for the Tigers. 72-10.
That's a lot of fucking points.
The last time LSU scored 70 in a game, of course, was the ill-fated 7 overtime game.
Okay, yeah. Was that 72-70?
Yeah. Prior to that, though, what up, brother? But the last time it happened in regulation, I'll need to check on this, but I think, if we have this correct.
Thank you, Laurel.
And our guy Jerry, who was here, said he was even at the game. 1977, LSU scored 77 on Rice, and Steve Ensminger was the quarterback. So
77 for 77. Let's fucking go, Tigers!
So we need to get some. I message Todd Politz, the great Todd Politz.
I'm about to say that's the man to hit up for any historical questions about scoring.
No doubt, hit him up to see if he can get us that. 72-10 is the final. LSU scored on its first 10 drives. They only did not score on the final drive where they were out on downs when they were just trying to run out the clock. So a great day all the way around for LSU to get out and have a completely
bit of a weird game to talk about because of that. Right? I mean, just like...
Well, the first quarter...
What the fuck are we going to talk about for 90 minutes?
Alabama losing and Texas A&M losing and the fact that the SEC is not good.
There you go.
But if you want something to complain about, LSU did allow 173 yards in the first quarter.
It didn't look great. It didn't look great.
Quarter.
They were getting torched a little bit in the first quarter.
So... But Tigers win.
So let's be angry. Yeah, fuck them. They fucking suck, man.
Nope. We don't have to be angry. Don't have to be angry.
Why the fuck does our defense suck so bad?
Well, there's a lot to talk about. So let's start with toast. Yes, I think there was a lot to talk about in this game.
Lead the way, my Sherpa.
Well,
in the post-game wilderness.
Do you want to start with some comments so I can go share out all these links and everything?
Yeah, go ahead. Drake Gisler says sacks, picks, discuss. We'll get that. Derek Matthews, man, our defense is scary bad. Will Hildebrand looks like we are, in fact, as good as Bama. At least Texas didn't take our last beer out of the fridge like Texas did. Pie in the Sky. Nuss did an amazing job of handing the ball off. Let's start him. Music, JD ain't sniffing a Heisman. All right, yep. Let's go ahead and start the...
Wait,
let's start the Jaden Daniels exposition.
I would like your feedback on the game.
On tonight's game?
Yes. What the fuck other game would I want your feedback on? Of course tonight's game.
I thought maybe you meant last week's. No, I mean, look, man.
No, I'd never want to talk about last week's game again.
Fair. It's one of those deals where... LSU was fantastic tonight. You know, I mean, I think if you were to try to force yourself to engage in perspective and you looked back to previous eras of LSU football, like Matt is saying, this is kind of a record-setting night in terms of the final score being 72-10, right? And so it's a weird situation where tonight was kind of perfect. Like, yes, did the defense struggle early on? Absolutely, and we will talk about it. But at the same time, there's nothing that we're going to say that's going to make you feel better about the defense. Was the offense nearly perfect? I mean, fucking duh, absolutely. Jaden Daniels went 18 to 24, 269, 5 touchdowns, 11 yards per attempt, like elite stats across the board, but you're not going to give credence to any of those numbers. So that's why tonight is weird to talk. I mean, Logan Diggs, fucking dominant. The drive to make it 28-7 was brought to you by Logan Diggs pretty much individually. The offensive line looked great. Lance Hurd in the 53 at right tackle looked really good when they gave him opportunities. Like, so your depth of your offensive line looks like it's continuing to develop, and maybe even you have like a different starter in there eventually by years in. So like there is so much good, but it is that weird thing where the good is going to be thrown away for the couple of bad plays in the first quarter.
Okay, now we're ready. We got all the links shared out. We're ready to go. I got our lighter. Well, let's do our toast. In our
cheers.
In all of our dejection a week ago, we did a half-assed toast, and I think only like one. I think it was Josh Ennis is the only person who actually tweeted the picture.
Shout out Josh, he loves it, dude.
So anyway, please, if you're new, this is our custom. Raise your glass, whatever you have. Take a picture of you toasting with us, so we'll hold our glasses here for a moment, and then tweet or post on IG or Facebook or wherever that you live on social or all the above.
Or retweet it, story it, whatever.
We love it. So cheers. Tag us, and we'd love to cheers. Thank you all for being here. Tigers win. Go Tigers. Go Tigers. So, all right.
You have a punch?
Yes. My punch and my lighter. I'll give you a few takeaways here to start.
This is going to be a real game flow night, Matt, so I hope you took good notes. Because I was mainly watching Alabama fuck up against Texas.
We're going to talk a lot. I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about that. Because
yeah, I agree.
This show, I'm sure of what our show tonight is going to be is context around the day of college football.
And the SEC as a whole.
That's, yes.
Yeah.
Texas A&M lost.
Why can't I get this?
What do you, here, give it to me.
I fucking bite my nails too much, dude. I can't get that punch out. I bite my nails till they're down their nubs, and every time I do it, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And then I look down at my feet, and I have a fucking graveyard of fingernails in my feet in my car.
That's gross.
And then I'm embarrassed going to my car service, and I didn't get a vacuum before, and they're looking at it, and there's just fucking fingernails everywhere.
It's gross.
Looks like I'm a fucking bone collector. Is it gross, or does everybody bite their nails?
When I was a kid, I bit my nails a ton.
Fuck, that's what I keep hearing. So you stopped?
And I stopped, and now I use nail clippers.
Nail clippers?
Yeah.
What are you, a sociopath? I don't know. I guess
there
I'm just
are
not there yet.
literally fingernail clippers. There's the big ones for your toenails, and then there's smaller ones for fingernails.
No, dude.
What do you mean you don't know? That's an actual thing. That's a real life thing.
Oh, I think your lighter's out, bro.
God damn it. All right.
Yeah, it's out.
God damn it.
Go Tiger says the SEC is definitely down this year. I fucking love it because, again, one of the themes of tonight is going to be the SEC being down is actually good for LSU, right? Because it kind of remains a bit wide open. Like, don't get it twisted. I'm not fucking impressed with anything Georgia has done thus far. Dustin Abear, same here to you, about 53 and still bite my nails. My fucking dog, dude. Hootie says Mason Taylor was all smiles on the sideline. I guess that important. He eventually... Or, I mean, at that one point we thought he was injured. James Tate is T-Bob. I have only one word that comes out of his mouth. I'm guessing, James, that's an attack on the word fuck, which is fine, but that's also the only word that can be used as every single part of speech in the entire English language. So attack it at your own risk because it's a strong word with a lot of versatility.
God damn it. All right. We
need a lighter.
We need a lighter. All right. You take care of getting a lighter, and I'll start some comments here as well. Okay. Hey, by the way, Alondra, also, periodically, I'm just seeing the screen go back or restart. Are we?
Looks like we're good to me, dude. I mean,
okay,
our
right.
shit's reading good on my end.
Okay, good. All right.
Thomas Dare says, I'm lost and drunk on campus. Find the clock tower, Thomas. Whenever you're lost, you have to find landmarks that stand out above the general horizon.
Yeah,
if you find the clock tower, you can find your way.
Okay, so a couple of things real quick, big picture. We can go into the game if y'all want. Of note, Logan Diggs started running back and everybody offensively had a hell of a night, right? It was just a good night. But we got to see Logan Diggs, and I think for everyone who didn't ever see him play at Notre Dame, you understand why whenever LSU signed Logan Diggs, I know it was my feeling, probably the feeling shared with many, was, you okay?
Yeah, I'm figuring out. Go ahead. Keep talking about Logan Diggs. I'm listening.
How did you struggle with a lighter? That's perplexing. Anyway, so yes.
You know, Matt, life is full of twists and turns. You know, you never quite
you cheering for Alabama tonight, which was really. Can I have the fucking lighter, please?
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Let's get out of the way, okay, guys?
Give me the lighter while you talk about this.
Yes,
no,
I was fucking cheering for.
Oh my God! Why are you the worst in the world at everything always?
Not true. I'm obviously okay at a couple of things: juvenile humor and football takes. Okay, to be fair, yes. I was cheering for Alabama night, guys, okay? I'm fucking sorry, okay? I have bitched about Texas all offseason. I've called them pussies. I drew a line in the sand that Texas was going to be awful and that Alabama would beat him, and I fucking had to eat. I'm going to have to eat a full murder of crows on Monday. But guess what? This is how I win. I'm like Adam Sandler in Righteous Gems, or what's it called? Whatever. The point is, Uncut Gems. Like, the point is, I don't fucking give a fuck. Alabama lost. Good. Fuck him. Fuck Alabama. I don't care. It's fine. Shout out Thomas Jorgensen with the $10 super chat. What are we going to do about defense and cornerback? This game is nearly the same as the Southern game last year. Only exception is Southern turned the ball over way more. I would say the only exception is LSU's offense actually looks significantly better than it did last year. Like, I'm not going to sit here and defend the defense, but we now have 8 quarters of LSU offensive football that you're not going to want to hear this, but it's objectively pretty spectacular. Like, you obviously have the third and 8 drop, which if you catch last week probably turned into a touchdown. You have the drop in the end of the third quarter that ends up being a pick the next play. But you also have a first half where you're up 17-14 against a team that I think is championship caliber, and you wasted 2 red zone possessions, right? And so you come out tonight, you put up 72. Like, what if this was a Les Miles era? What do you think the final score is? 35-10? 42-13? Somewhere along there. And this, and again, like, I'm not asking anyone to feel like, yeah, fuck yeah, this team's arrived to beat Grambling, and certainly the defense does remain a bit of a concern, but the offense does not. Like, I feel like the offense was fucking spectacular tonight. Hunter Fournette with the $5 super chat. Wild Nuss had more rushing TDs than JD5, and Jay Daniels has more interceptions than Nuss. Suck it. Also, LSU, LOL. T-Bob's going to get roasted by Twitter by the Shorthorns. I mean, Hunter, can you call them the Shorthorns? Look at who they won. Craig Granger says, DB who? It's more like DB poo for LSU right now.
Okay.
James Descant wants you to finish the story about Diggs.
Yeah, I mean, I was starting to give you my takeaways from the game, and then you interrupted me, and you couldn't fucking get a line right.
Let's fucking get a move on, dude. Let's keep it moving, dude. We got 90 minutes. Fucking go, dude. Get to it.
I hate you so much.
It's a fucking point, dude. Just talking. Just what's your point about Diggs? He looked great.
So Logan Diggs is the most talented running back they have. You can tell. Size, speed, ability to make you miss, run with power, catch the ball out of the backfield. He even did a really nice job in pass protection. He is your most complete back. 15 for 115, an average of 7.7. I understand the competition, but whenever you have 15 carries and you have 115 yards against Grambling, that's what you want to do. But Caleb Jackson also was great tonight. We saw why he looked great in camp. I don't know if you remember LeBrandon Tofield. He reminds me of LeBrandon Tofield. Like a 6'1" running back with a gigantic trunk.
Dude. He was a dog. Rookie of the year in Jacksonville.
He reminds me of LeBrandon Tofield. I think he's awesome. So today you ran 48 times for 302 yards, 6.3 yards a carry. You scored on 10 of your 11 drives. You put up 72 points. That was all great. Dick starting at running back, and obviously people I'm sure have already commented. Denver Harris was with the ones at cornerback, and it wasn't great. He gave up a touchdown and had a PI. I feel like if I say something to the negative of Denver Harris, there's the Denver Harris contingent that's going to go shit on me. But let's just call it like it is.
He got mossed for a touchdown early on, and then he gave it the PI. I mean, it was, again, this was a game where you were never going to feel good about your strengths. It was only, am I going to feel more insecure about my weaknesses, right?
Absolutely.
And so early on when they go, hold on, let me see what it was. When they go
their first drive,
7 plays, 83 yards, and Denver Harris gets mossed to make it 7-7, that's a bad feeling.
Yeah.
Because many people had Denver Harris as this panacea for the fucking LSU secondary, that it was going to solve everything, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, maybe not. Maybe that's why he was repping with the threes the entirety of camp.
So okay, I don't know if this is how a universal feeling, but I'll address this with Denver Harris. So Denver Harris was running with the threes, and there was a feeling from some that the coaches were trying to teach him a lesson. That was the thing. Like, he's obviously better, but they're going to make him earn it, whatever.
Which is valid.
I went to every practice. I went to every practice where we had media availability.
And we had a lot.
He didn't stand out.
Yeah.
He didn't. I mean, like, you can watch one-on-one drills, you can watch 7-on-7s, you can watch 11-on-11s. He didn't stand out, okay? I'm not saying he's a bad player. The conversations that I have had about Denver Harris generally go something like this. He's a great athlete, and for most of his life played in man coverage. But in order to play at this level, you've got to be able to be competent and know your responsibilities when you go zone.
And we are some zone boys nowadays, dude.
And they don't trust him to do that. And look at the problem you're having in man coverage right now. You're going to have to play a lot of zone and tackle the man in front of you. So if you don't trust him to know his responsibilities in zone coverage, it's hard to justify putting him on the field. It's not to say he's a bad player. It's not to say he won't ever be a good player. It's just to say he's not the best option they have right now. So, but after last week, as bad as last week was, you had to do something different. So we saw a lot of Ashton Stamps tonight, which was good to see, and I thought he played well. And he might actually be the guy that is the one that emerges at that position. So he's fast as hell. He's a really good-looking athlete. And if they're trusting him as a true freshman to get on the field when they brought Deuce Chestnut off after the injury last week, that kind of tells you something, how they feel about putting him in. So, you know, I mean, it's a long season, and guys are allowed, like teams are allowed to improve, players are allowed to improve, and they will. The other big thing, Harold Perkins played the primary amount of his snaps out of the box. He was at the line of scrimmage. Actually, the first play of the game, he had a pass breakup. He was lined up at the flat.
Yeah, he did better. He did better in pass coverage tonight. God damn, you still want to see fucking Perk break through for a sack, though, don't you?
I thought he had a good night.
No, he had a good night. I know he had a good night, but I mean, you know,
there was one play where he did get beat on it was a deep ball over the middle. I'm trying to find it. It doesn't really fucking
LSU
matter.
Tigers, T-Bob, how many games do you see us winning? I mean, I'm still 9-3. Dame 26, T-Bob, wake up. LSU offense is not okay at all. I mean, I don't know, man. I just
he thinks the
disagree.
offense is not okay?
Yeah, he said the offense is not okay at all, but it's like a record amount of
Can I? All right, I get it for the show. It's not always great if you and I agree on everything. It's good if we differ. But I think what we're going to continue learning as this season goes along, what we'll continue to reveal is Florida State is really fucking good.
I agree, and maybe we'll be proven
really
wrong, like I was proven wrong about Texas today and proven wrong about Miami. Maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But when I watched that film for 3 hours on Sunday, I saw a group of fucking salty-ass graybeards that look like they're ready to compete for a championship in Florida State. And exactly what I said this week remains true tonight, where it was less about LSU being bad and more about Florida State being good and better than you, and then being tier 1 and you maybe being tier 2 or tier 1.5, right? They're 1 through 5, you're 10 through 15. Like, you're still better, I think, than the vast majority of college football. It's just that I don't know if you are win a championship good. I believe Florida State is win a championship good. But we'll see. We'll see if I'm right or wrong on that.
The hardest part, I think, when you're emotional.
And I'm logging the super chat, so I'm bringing it to them all. Don't worry.
The hardest part when you're emotional about something, like, I mean, we all are about LSU.
Absolutely.
It's hard to sometimes, like, take the 10,000-foot view and provide context. Like, we went through this with baseball. I went on this rant when everyone was like, the way LSU wins isn't sustainable. They hadn't fucking lost a weekend yet. Of course it's fucking sustainable. Like, and it proved to be. Like, sometimes if you pull back to the 10,000-foot view, you can see things that make sense.
That is an interesting example, though, isn't it? Because LSU baseball had a clear weakness in the bullpen, right? And then in the tournament, you had guys step up in ways that the regular season would not have dictated that they would have been able to, right? And so in the same way, the LSU secondary right now remains a very clear weakness. Now, I don't think guys are going to step up in the same way, but, like, that's why LSU baseball ended up winning. I guess I'm saying that, like, some of the concerns with LSU baseball were valid at the time, but then when it mattered most, they fucking found a way to get it done. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the LSU secondary is going to pull some sort of rabbit out of the hat like the bullpen did. But you do have to allow some room for improvement. Especially because if you look at last year's LSU team, like if nothing else, if you're going to talk about a Brian Kelly coach squad where you want to criticize him, that's all fair. But, like, they don't fuck with the sunken cost fallacy. Like, they will change. If something is not working, like you saw Lance Hurd. Yeah, Harold Perkins.
For literally one game, they're like, all right, go back to the line of scrimmage.
I mean, you saw Lance Hurd starting to work into some right tackle. Like, they will change to try to get what they feel the film is telling them is objectively best on the field. And in that way, I think that, you know, that is in common with Jay Johnson, for whatever that's worth.
I mean, I was trying to make a point. You interrupted me, and I have no idea what the fuck I was going to say now. So
damn, dude, you got to get your memory up, dog.
Or you got to not interrupt me when I'm in the middle of the point.
You got to make better points, and, you know, I don't know what to tell you.
Or you have to be respectful and just let your co-host make a point.
Oh, I got to be respectful?
Yeah.
You tell me you don't. You all the time when I go on a rant, you tell me I didn't listen to a word you fucking said.
Not all the time.
I got to be respectful?
Not all the time.
Not yeah, exactly. Not all the time.
And that was last week whenever I was trying to get our tweet posted.
Look, I'm just calling a spade, bro. You want to go through some game flow? Or I got super chats. We can do either one.
I just wanted to go through my other big picture takeaways.
Yeah, let's go.
Essentially, the point I was making is you got to allow for room for improvement as the season goes along. Mm-hmm. This team can certainly improve. And the 10,000-foot view was, remember, LSU had 300 yards of offense on Florida State in the first half. They had 2 possessions inside the 10 where they had no points.
Yep.
You in theory, could have, maybe should have, been up 17 at half. And you were going into the fourth quarter in a 1-score ball game with the ball around midfield, and you threw a pick when the receiver fell down, and you missed a deep ball the play before. Like, good teams make those plays. I get it. I'm not excusing it away or hand-waving, but the point is, like, if Florida State really is as good as I think they are, and I think a lot of people would agree, like, you were better than them for a half, and you were right there through 3 quarters. Like, go get marginally better throughout this year. Just keep getting marginally better. We talked about it last week.
Year.
The schedule allows for it. You're going to go play Mississippi State. Who did they end up winning? They're in a dogfight with Arizona at home right now.
I'll check the score down.
Then you're going to get Arkansas, who's not very good. Then you go to Ole Miss, who, by the way, Tulane at the line.
God, if they had Pratt, dude. If they had Pratt, dude.
Tulane at the line of scrimmage was pushing Ole Miss around. Like, that LSU offensive line and run game we saw tonight with Diggs and Kane and Jackson and all them, like, Hurd. LSU can go run the ball right at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
They'll be able to if they want to.
I ain't worried about Ole Miss. I'll just say that, dude. I ain't worried yet about Ole Miss. Like, will they put up points? Yeah, probably.
My point is you have 2 months until you go to Tuscaloosa to get better. And, by the way, I don't think anybody should be really fucking terrified of Big Bad Bama right now because look at what happened. I get it. We all make predictions before a season starts, and nobody ever remembers the ones you get right. They just shit on you for what you get wrong. And I understand that. Look, I picked Clemson to win the ACC. That don't look great. I picked LSU to win the national championship. That don't look great right now. But I was also right about Colorado. And the other thing that I was championing at the beginning of the year was I liked LSU so much because I didn't think the league was very good. I've said a million times, I think this is the worst quarterback year in the SEC since 2014. 13 was a legendary year. You had Manziel and McCarron, who's a multiple-time national championship, Aaron Murray, who set every conference record, Connor Shaw. I mean, the whole league, you had Mettenberger. The whole league was stacked. The league was stacked at quarterback in 2013, and they all left. In 2014 was like Bo Wallace. I mean, it was just a shitty quarterback year in the league.
Bo Wallace.
Like, Bo Wallace was probably the best quarterback in the SEC.
Gave LSU the dub, dude.
I mean, LSU was running Brandon Harrison and Anthony Jennings out there in 2014. Like, think about the league in 2014. It was terrible.
No, I remember.
This is a comparable year to that with respect to that. So anyway, someone keeps asking thoughts on Zy Alexander.
I mean,
I just saw.
I mean, I'm not. No. A lot of people have been, but I mean, it's one of those deals where this is what fucking sucks about a game like tonight. Like, do I feel good about the secondary exiting this game? No, I don't feel particularly good. Like, early on, they looked vulnerable.
Sorry.
Did they end up hitting the brakes and they shut them down and it's 10 points at the end of the day? Like, yeah, they ended up being 10 points at the end of the day. But it's like, I don't.
The smoke just wafts right over Alondra.
This is, I know. Alondra doing great. And by the way, Alondra did an incredible job last week and getting us up and good to go. And we didn't give her any love because everybody's so pissed off by the loss. But, I mean, no, I'm not going to tell you that you should feel great about Zy Alexander or Denver Harris or anybody after this game. Like, fuck it. It is what I do feel comfortable telling you, though. This is a good fucking offense. I do think that. Like and maybe I'm wrong, but the offensive line remains a strength. The receivers looked great tonight. Like, you saw what happened when you run up against a secondary that you're just vastly more talented than. I think these receivers will be vastly more talented than 90% of the secondaries that they face.
Clint asked about Chris Hilton.
You saw the speed, dude. Weird way to catch that deep ball, but still.
Chris Hilton was one of the guys that I know on AFR I talked a lot about coming out of camp because he had a great camp. You could tell, like, he was a guy who, if you watched him at Zachary in high school, was...
I was at that Western Road State Championship.
That's the play where he kind of announced him. For those that don't know, he caught a
fumbled
catch-and-run
snap,
bomb.
Like it was like a fumbled snap, screen pass that he took 80 yards to the house. It was like 3rd and 15, and it wins him the state championship.
And I think he was a sophomore
that
year.
He was.
And he's incredible. The thing about Hilton was, as I understood it always, was as he came to, he had to learn route concepts and route tree, and he had to learn how to block and all these. He's a great athlete on the outside, had to learn how to play the position, basically.
Yeah.
And you could tell the light bulb is coming on for him. I think he deserves more reps. I know Neighbors and Thomas and Lacey are your first three, but there's no reason why Chris Hilton shouldn't be getting more reps.
Well, he remains your best deep threat. He remains the best the top off the defense guy, which you saw when Jaden Daniels trusted him and threw a beautiful deep ball, and it fell right into his hands.
I want to give a shout-out to, by the way, always shout out to Don Juan Cigar Bar for having us. We love coming here.
So much fun, dude.
In Town Center. If you want to come hang out during the game, T's here for the whole game. I come at halftime, and then we're here after. So we always encourage you to come hang out here at Don Juan's. Great place for NFL Sundays as well. They're open. They got TVs everywhere. Have a cigar, cocktail, watch the NFL. So shout out to Don Juan Cigar Bar. And, of course, the retail shop is right next door to us. So if you want to go in there, walk in Humidor, buy a bunch of stogies, you can do that there. Also, shout out to Roback, who this shirt is Roback. I don't know if you can tell the pattern, but they just launched their officially licensed
it's all LSU
line.
shit.
So, like, this pattern is Tiger Stadium. It's like a million. Can you see it?
Yeah, no, I see it. Yeah,
it's
I got the same shirts. There's like a million Tiger Stadiums. There's like a million Tigers. It's really good.
LSU,
really
the Walking Tiger. So anyway,
and they got fucking Coach O, dude. Have you seen? I mean, Coach O's their fucking boy now. And honestly, with a little distance, who doesn't fucking love Ed Ogeron, dude? You know, it's. The pain of the past has been healed.
Real quick, the Roback link is pinned in the YouTube chat, and the guys over there gave us a code. It's LSU20 for 20% off your order. So if you want to pick up some of these LSU shirts, they're fine. They feel awesome, too.
I will say this. I feel deeply...
LSU20, LSU20 for 20% off your order.
Y'all know me. I feel deeply uncomfortable in collared shirts, but I'll be fucking goddamned if they're not very comfortable for the heat. I mean, that you can sweat in these bitches. Well, first off, they're very light, but then you can sweat and it wicks it right away, dude.
Okay.
And I'm logging all the super chats. Don't worry, guys. I got you.
Do you want to just run through some of the game?
Yeah, I do.
All right, let's run through some of the game. Keep your comments coming. If you're watching live, please, or on demand, please smash the like button. We got over 2,000 watching on YouTube, so shout out to y'all.
Dude. Let's fucking go, Tigers.
So please smash that like button if you would. And Facebook, please like the 104.5 ESPN page and share this post. We appreciate you very much. All right, so LSU got the ball. First play of the game was the Logan Diggs 12-yard run. Yep. I mean, that kind of set the stage. Kyron Lacey caught the 21-yarder over the middle, which was really cool to see him. You know, they went right back to him after a tough week, last week with a couple of drops that he had. Penalties were a big problem for Grambling throughout the day, but LSU converted another first down, and Brian Thomas had a big drop on that first drive. And it was disappointing, but he would more than make amends. On 2nd and 10, we saw Chris Hilton make his first catch, so he did get there in the first series. It was a 6-yarder. Then on 3rd and 4, they threw the 26-yard touchdown to Brian Thomas. That was the one in the back right of the end zone where he slipped as he was kind of going out of the end zone. So LSU was up 7-0. It was good to see him. I think the thing that I liked is, despite the drops both those guys had last week, he went right back to him. And even after the drop Brian Thomas had on his first target, he didn't drop another one. He was really good the rest of the day. Well,
it's kind of one of those situations where,
Thomas, by the way, Thomas 6 for 78 with 2 touchdowns.
You kind of have to make these guys work, right? Like, there's no way. Like, you're not. And again, it's not that you're beholden to this is how we did it during camp and this is how we're going to do it. But, like, if those are clearly your best three in Neighbors, Lacey, and Thomas, like, well, they have to continue to be your best three. So when I see a box score with Neighbors, 5 for 87 in a score, Thomas, 6 for 78 in 2 scores, Lacey, 3 for 62 in a score, and then Hilton getting involved, I'm like, okay, now I can kind of start to buy in the I can buy into the idea of the depth and strength of the LSU receiver room. Like, this is what else is interesting to me, Matt, is if you were to look at this box score through a Les Miles era lens, or you were to look at this box score through the lens of a team that you don't really care about or cheer for, you would not be displeased. If you find yourself displeased, it's only because you're so close to the situation that the missteps just glare so much stronger than all the positives do.
The missteps were defensive, at least in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So Grambling got the ball. They had a 2nd and 10. They got a 34-yard reception. Zy Alexander made a break on the ball and missed him. On 2nd and 12, they had a 22-yard rush. They had a first. Oh, this is when they split out wide and they had
like three. They had 3 down linemen, so LSU had 2 down. That shit was crazy, bro.
So that was at the 29-yard line, and they got a 15-yard reception out of it.
Hugh Jackson.
And then they ended up scoring on 2nd and 9. But that was when Harris gave up the touchdown in the left side of the end zone. So it's 7-7. LSU gets the ball back, and then Daniels 12-yard run, Thomas 2-yard screen. There was roughing on that play. So you got 15 more. So LSU had the ball at the Grambling 47. They went over the top first down to Chris Hilton for the 47-yard touchdown. So everybody wanted to see LSU push the ball downfield. LSU pushed the ball downfield. They took vertical shots. They hit a lot of them. Obviously, it was an inferior opponent, but you did what you had to do. Grambling gets the ball back, and this is where it was kind of shitty. They had a 3rd and 10. They burned a timeout. Coming out of the timeout, they had a false start, so it's 3rd and 15. They ran a draw and got 35 yards. Later in that drive, after gains of 14 and 16, they had a 3rd and 8.
I think Perk got hit over the middle on one of those. He was in coverage. Maybe there was a slant or something.
That was the next drive.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, they scored on. They kicked the field goal there. So it's 14-10. You came up with a stop on 3rd and 8. They burned their second timeout. We saw Caleb Jackson return kickoffs tonight. I thought he looked good returning kicks. He had a 27-yard kickoff return, which
so it's a bit of a weird bag, right? That kind of encapsulates the entire night where Caleb Jackson did look good on that return, but are you getting that return against a better team? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That was a situation where it looked like clearly he was just a better athlete than the people trying to cover the kick. And I do wonder, because I didn't think the blocking was particularly great, and so I do wonder, against a better coverage team, are you still getting that to the 32?
So this drive was the one that ended the first quarter and started the second. And we saw Josh Williams come in on this drive. I thought Josh Williams looked really good. They had a 3rd and 1. Josh Williams had a 12-yard rush. That was the only 3rd down they faced on that drive. And this is where they scored on the Malik Neighbors shovel pass. Yep. So coming in motion, the shovel pass.
Best passing yards you could possibly hope for if you're Jaden Daniels, dude.
We saw that play in the bowl game last year. We saw it in camp. They ran that often with Aaron Anderson, actually.
So I will say that was one of my biggest film takeaways from last week. Was I was kind of struck by the lack of motion from LSU in the offensive attack, right? I thought it felt very stale. I thought it felt very independent, like a collection of plays rather than a general theme. And I'm interested to see after this film review if I feel different. Because, that would be a play that was certainly different, right? But, again, Malik is just a better athlete than what you're going up against. And so, it's this is kind of the issue, Matt. It's like A&M against New Mexico last week. We're all fucking championing him. Well, Evan Stewart is fucking better than anything you have. So if you just throw bombs to Evan Stewart, you're going to be successful. If you're going against Grambling and you run jet sweeps to Malik Neighbors, he's going to fucking ball out. I don't know if it's going to carry over into the next week in the same way that it didn't carry over A&M necessarily this week, even though the defense remained the issue.
But I would look at A&M a year ago when in the opener they played Sam Houston and it was like tied at half and they had scored like 10 points and they wound up winning like 31-10. And then last week they scored 59. Well, A&M's offense today in Miami wasn't the problem. The problem was Miami's offense just took a shit on Texas A&M's defense all day.
Yeah, Tyler Van Dyke ends up he might be good again.
It was incredible.
And also, like, A&M's defense did actually look like shit against New Mexico secretly.
I didn't watch a play of A&M in New Mexico. Not a play of it. I'm not going to lie to you and say I did.
Early on, New Mexico was converting some like third and shorts and shit that made A&M look soft, and then you saw that in Miami today.
I'm just going to go quickly. I don't think we have to get bogged down. I'm looking at a lot of the comments in the chats, too, that there are also a lot of people are talking about the Texas-Bama game. So I do want to talk about the league, and I want to make sure we get to our super chats as well.
I got all the super chats.
Okay, so it's 21-10. They put together this is they had a 3rd and 10. They had the 27-yard run. So in consecutive drives, they had a 3rd and 15, ran the ball for 35 yards. They had a 3rd and 10, ran the ball for 27 yards.
Yeah.
The run defense, and especially in the first half, was so concerning. If you missed it earlier, Grambling put up 173 yards in the first quarter. So
what'd they put up the rest of the game, though?
They finished total,
I got it right here. Let's see, team stats.
With 320 yards. So LSU put up 622. So the defense adjusted after the first quarter. So Grambling had 173 in the first quarter, and they finished with 320. So they put up about 150 the rest of the game. So good adjustments by LSU, obviously, but Grambling had some good athletes that made plays early.
Hugh Jackson did look like he had Grambling looking pretty frisky earlier on. Like, that's a good quarterback. It was good design. Like,
well, shit, Tony Hull was the OC.
I'm not gonna hate on it, dude. It was solid offense being put out there.
Tony Hull was the head coach, if I'm not mistaken, at Easton when they had Tyron Johnson. I'm almost positive he was the head coach at Easton when they had Tyron Johnson. And they were just spread it out, and they just had gazelle receivers. They chucked it around the yard. I called a state semifinal game with Easton against East Jeff when Salta Formaggio was the head coach at East Jeff. They were a great defensive team. East Jeff won that game, but they were so impressive. Like, that Easton team was so impressive. Anyway. Shout out Tony Hull.
Do you want to go to Super Chats, or do you want to let's keep going through game flow. We'll finish game flow first.
We won't do this long. So then you came up with a big run stuff in a goal-to-go situation from the 5-yard line. Greg Penn and Savion Jones came up with a big play on 3rd and 6. It was 3rd and goal from the 5, excuse me. So then they missed the 23-yard field goal.
Yeah.
So LSU got the ball back. This is when Lance Hurd went in the game. It was LSU's first possession of the second quarter. So I thought Lance Hurd looked great. I know you were talking about it too.
Again, he looked excellent. He looks the fucking part. I mean, his hands hang down to his knees. He's thick. He's athletic. He's long. It seems like it's a bit odd because I'm not like it's not just tonight that I'm like Lance Hurd's really fucking good, but it's rather it's the momentum that he gained during camp, right? They were starting to rep him at right tackle by the end of camp and bump Emory Jones down. They obviously don't want to go all in against an incredible, a very good Florida State defensive line.
I asked you that last week.
And have him get fucking shot.
So during the game last week, we were sitting here in the second half, and LSU couldn't get the running game going. And I asked you, I was like, dude, should they put Hurd in this situation just to get a more physical guy on the line? And you like unequivocally said no, like you don't run him out there in this game.
I mean, it's one of those situations
where
right.
Like, Brian Kelly said the same thing.
Yeah, like
Brian Kelly said he said that almost verbatim Tuesday in his press conference. Like, yeah, that's not the spot you want to.
And it's like you could have done it, but it wouldn't have been the difference of the game, right? It kind of was what it was at that point. But that said, credit to Lance Hurd. He looked great when he played tonight, and
that's what they did last year with Emory Jones. Played against Southern, and then he started the next week against State.
That's where we go back to sunken cost fallacy. If nothing else, that's one thing that I feel good about this coaching staff is like if they think there is a better option out there, they will go for it, and they will start to develop it. And so you started to develop Emory Jones last year. Now you maybe start to develop Lance Hurd. And it's in keeping with Lance Hurd told from day one, where he was talking about, I'm going to be the starting left tackle, and everybody's kind of laughing. And I get why you're laughing, but but he's fucking good. And, like, your best 5 may actually be with him at right tackle and Emory Jones at guard. Because Miles Frazier did struggle last week. Now, I'm not talking about the fucking quote. Everybody wants to make a lot about the quote of Frazier being like, I think it was the Florida State guy said, like, I think like 70 told me, like, damn, y'all are good. And everybody's like, Miles Frazier's a fucking pussy. And I even tweeted something like, damn, that quote is kind of fucked because Frazier, like, did get blown up a couple times. But whatever. There's a million ways to skin a cat. You don't have, like, I'm a big, like, fuck you, never give credit to the opponent. You don't have to be like that to be good. There are other cats that are good without that, but definitely you're seeing a situation develop where maybe your best 5 is with Emery at right guard. And the freshman, again, second year in a row, Lance Hurd at right tackle.
That was the Logan Diggs drive. He had 7 rushing attempts on that drive, and he ended up scoring from 3 yards out. His first
that was the 20, make it 28-7. Was that when?
28-10, yeah.
Okay, 28-10. Yeah, basically all 80 yards were brought to you by Logan Diggs.
Next drive, Grambling punted, so LSU finally forced a punt on Grambling's. So Grambling went touchdown, field goal, missed field goal, and then they never scored again.
Yeah.
So great job by the defense to settle down. Greg Clayton was clean returning punts tonight. That next LSU drive, the one they put together a nice drive, and this was the second Brian Thomas touchdown. I'm trying to think if there was anything of note in this drive. Oh, Lacey had the 38-yarder where he fumbled.
He fumbled, which is a bit like, come on, Kyron. Let's just, like ball security is the only thing we give a fuck about with you right now. Let's just, hold on to that ball. But, again, it was a great catch. It goes back to the great irony of Kyron last game, where his ability to stay in bounds on that catch early on and get you into the red zone was, like, unreal. But then his hands betrayed him, and you talk to UL fans, and of course they're like, oh, well, this is who Kyron was at UL. So, like, I'm not willing to give Kyron Lacey the full A+. Like, he still has to prove that his hands can matter in the biggest moments.
So Brian Thomas scored. LSU's up 35-10. Grambling gets the ball with exactly 2 minutes to go in the half. And I thought this sequence was important because LSU, clearly the game at this point was getting out of hand. But LSU played to get a stop, get the ball back, and run their 2-minute offense.
Yeah, they got to.
They scored points last week in the 2-minute offense. Got the field goal before half.
Sneaky good drive at the end of last week that we didn't really highlight because it got lost in the shuffle, but that was nice.
Josh Williams draw was a huge play. But, yeah, so LSU comes up with a stop here. Grambling had third down with a minute 26 to play, and they elected to throw the ball, and Ashton Stamps came up with the big pass breakup, which forced the punt. So it was good. I mean, that was a moment where you needed someone to make a play, and Stamps did. He came up with a pass breakup. So Clayton Fair caught the ball. It's one where he could have probably returned it. He fair caught it at his own 15 when he had about 15. He had like 15 yards.
The return game remains a problem.
Clayton did have a nice return later.
No, I know, but again, this is the issue. I'm not giving the return game any credit because your return game should ball against a lesser.
Clayton had a 23-yard return on Grambling's first punt of the second half. Anyway, so do you want to run through that 2-minute drive real quick, and then we can talk about Nuss and we can talk about all the questions y'all have? Okay. So first down, they went deep. They threw deep, and there was a PI. So you took your deep shot and you drew PI. So that's good, right? We want Jaden to stretch the field, throw the ball. You did. You got your 15 yards. On first down, Neighbors was open, and this is where Jaden kind of threw it behind him, and it was incomplete. Yeah. He had to kind of turn his body for it. So they come back on 2nd and 10. They hand it off to Logan Diggs, and he rips off an 18-yard run, so you're in business at the 48-yard line. Jaden runs for 7 yards. Completion of Brian Thomas for a first down. They spike it with 39 seconds left at the Grambling 41. Second down's incomplete, so you got 3rd and 10. And they threw the ball to Neighbors on a little screen, and that's where he bobbed and weaved and cut up.
Great run.
He stopped and cut back and went upfield. I mean, that was Malik being Malik.
So that's the point where you see why Malik Neighbors had so much hype, right? Because the guys that you hype up in the offseason should be able to just raw, outperform, lean on natural ability, and ball out against people that are less than. And like that was Malik doing that just then. It's the same thing on the shovel pass to Malik for the touchdown. That was just like, it wasn't necessarily super well executed. It wasn't necessarily super well blocked. It was just Malik Neighbors being way better than the people on defense.
Malik had 5 for 87 tonight, and the touchdown that he scored on the shovel pass. So Malik converts the first. They spike it with 16 seconds left. Brian Thomas catches the ball down to the 2-yard line, and he came up a little limp right there. But then on first down, there's 7 seconds left, and you have a timeout, but you're at the 2, and they threw the touchdown to Kyron Lacey. So LSU gets the 42-10 lead at the half.
Good job. Jaden Daniels, take a bow. You did great.
It was a great
5 touchdowns. Fuck yeah.
I kind of like when they go tempo like that. I mean, you're taking a lot of the thinking out of it, then it just go and you let your athletes be athletes and they tend to perform. I mean,
it's always one of the great ironies of offensive football, right? It's like a lot of times when you enter 2-minute situations, the offense hits this big advantage, and you're like, well, why don't you do that all the time?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, because like, you know, what if you're going tempo and then you go 3 and out and then you set up the defense? So like, it's I feel you. Like,
it's a great story. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, Jaden Daniels feels like a guy who is maybe better in that situation, but it's tough to say just do that every time.
I've heard Jim Kelly tell this story. So the Buffalo Bills in the 90s did that. They would go tempo. And like at the end of halves, quarters, whatever, and it was Jim Kelly's wife who said, "You'll always do really good right there. Why don't y'all do that all the time?" And he was like, "Huh." And so they started going tempo, and their offense was awesome. So it was really just his wife being like, "Why don't you do that all the time?" So anyway, just a few quick takeaways from the second half. Greg Penn got a pick on the first possession.
What a
beautiful
pick,
play!
Too.
I mean,
I'm always talking to you about Kegels. That was a Kegels-infused pick, Matt. He does not make that pick without strong inner thighs. How did that ball even stay off the ground?
I've thought way too much about you taking a piss.
Well, I got to piss again, so it's going to go.
No, I mean, just over the last week since you explained this to me that you just, like, force your pee out.
It's like a Kamehameha of human piss.
Because when I pee, I'm like Tom Hanks in A League of Their Own. I'm there for like a minute and a half.
No.
Just letting this stuff like, whenever you're ready to empty. Maybe I just like I fill my bladder up so much and I wait and then I get to take so long to empty it.
No. It's all about, it's your lower abs, your PF muscles. So I hit like a little, like
you afraid you're gonna shit?
No, like I can feel even now. I can feel it goes through the lower abs, through the diaphragm, kind of into the pelvis, and then it just fucking rockets it out, dude. If you could PSI test me, I'm telling you, I would be right there with the champion racehorse.
Okay.
But again, that's why Greg Payne made that pick, because the Kegels, dude. I'm telling you, you don't want to come, do Kegels, dude. I'm holding up great, Cortland Jacob. I feel good. LSU fucking beat ass. I'm a little upset about Alabama. But fuck him.
I'm so
pussies.
excited about Alabama
fuck
losing.
You, Alabama. Pussies.
And A&M losing. Like, this is, don't you realize how great this is for LSU?
It actually is. We can get to Super Chats, and then do you want to get into the SEC? Or let's finish Game Flow, Super Chats, and we'll get into the SEC.
So Penn's interception was great. You had a 4th and 2. Caleb Jackson had an incredible run on 4th and 2, which was great. He was awesome in the second half.
And again, Caleb Jackson, when did he flash during camp? Because he's a superior athlete, right? Do we trust Caleb Jackson in, 3rd and 8 against fucking Ole Miss? I don't know if we do yet. But if you're going to put him in and just say, hey, Caleb Jackson, be more athletic than the people across from you, Caleb Jackson's building a pretty good fucking case that he has a lot of raw, natural athletic ability that he can succeed on.
Nuss got the whole third quarter and the first. No, he got the whole third quarter, and then Ricky Collins got the 2 possessions in the fourth quarter.
Good for Ricky.
Nuss's first pass of the third quarter was it was. God damn it! I'm trying. Here it is. It was to Malik for 29. It was like deep, kind of like middle left. And it was a fucking rope. I mean, you see why people love him.
Really fucking good at throwing the ball.
He is a great arm talent.
Yeah.
He's awesome. And I'll tell you what's kind of makes me weep a little is Walker Howard is a better arm talent than Nussmeier. Like when all of them were throwing last year, as good as Nuss was, Walker's arm was better. So, anyway, not that we need to go down that road. But, yes, Nuss was great. That was a beautiful throw.
I mean, to go down that road for a minute, it's like, okay, Nuss looked awesome, but the starter went 18 of 24 for 270 and 5 touchdowns. Like, what are you supposed to do here? Like, I mean, like,
there was no quarterback competition.
We're like, fucking, let's go down. I don't know. I don't think so.
Get Garrett Nussmeier every opportunity you can this year to play.
Yes.
Every opportunity. When a game is out of reach, you get him as many because next year it's his team.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a Matt Flynn scenario where it's like, brother, you have a shortened window because you stayed, and that's awesome, but you got to maximize this shortened window. Flynn did it, and let's hope Nussmeier can do it, you know? But in the
Carson
meantime,
Beck's trying to do it. I don't feel great about Carson Beck, but he's trying to do it right now.
Let's see. Anything else? Not really. LSU got a safety.
How'd they get the safety? I was too engrossed in the Alabama-Texas game at that point.
It was a bad. I think it was a bad snap because I was looking at the Bama game as well, looking down. Dude. I saw it.
That's how most of them happen.
And it was like a -18. It was like a snap over the head and went into the end zone. And so anyway, so 72-10 is your final. Any other notes that? The last note I have. This was so whenever they did go to a second unit on the offensive line, left to right, this is what they did. They did Bordelon, who I'm telling you, man, that dude is so improved. Like, he was so improved in camp. You know, he was Arch's left tackle at Newman, and his dad, Ben Bordelon, played at LSU, of course, and his brother, I think, is committed for next year. But you could just tell, like, he's one of those guys that you take him understanding we have this ball of clay and we're going to be able to have time to mold it and get him bigger and stronger, and he's improved anyway. So
and is it his mom that's in the Get the Gat video?
Yes.
I mean, strong.
Yes,
strong on all fronts.
So left to right, they went Bordelon Martinez. Martinez is dropped because DJ Chester was the second center, and which is really surprising. Have you seen DJ Chester at all?
Yeah, he started to come on during camp. They kept talking about him.
So it's interesting because early in camp, he looked like poo-poo. Like, I remember watching the combo block drills a lot, and I'm not saying I'm but I understand the concept of what you're trying to do with the drill. Like, I played the position. Like, I know what you're trying to accomplish.
100%. It doesn't take a fucking genius to see what you're trying to do in those drills.
I played guard. And so, I mean, I've done those drills before. Not at this level, obviously. This isn't a glory day shit. It's just he was not good. Like, I don't have my notes with me, like, of charting all those reps. Like, early in camp, it was not good. So credit him for, like, getting better and better and better, because when they went to the second center, it was not Martinez. It was DJ Chester.
Which is shocking because we did have Martinez penciled in as the first man up.
Early in camp, Martinez
was even pushing for starting.
And Turner were rotating first-team reps. So, and then you're right. So then Frazier ran with the twos. So they put Frazier in with the twos, and then Lance Hurd at right. So Frazier Hurd was your right side. So Hurd played the rest of the game, basically.
Look, I'll say this, man. As someone who was a fucking constant swing, hey, T-Bob, fill in where you can, do what you can. Like, the offensive line has to fucking sacrifice individuality. Fuck it. I don't fucking care, dude. You're going to get your shot. If you play O-line at LSU, like, and you play, somebody will give you a shot in the NFL. And if you want to prove that you are fucking great, okay, go win a job in the NFL. But the bottom line is, if you're on this team right now, you have to be willing to do whatever the team requires of you to be successful. So if that's Miles Frazier having to take a bit of a backseat, stay fucking ready. If that's DJ Chester, if that's Marlon Martinez, like, your moment will come. Be fucking ready for your moment. It's a good problem to have when you have guys pushing for starting jobs on the offensive line.
All right, so shout out to Don Juan Cigar Bar. We appreciate them as always for hosting us here for Whiskey and Wine. We're here every single game day. Like, as soon as the game goes final, you know we're fired up live here, and so you can always join us here at Don Juan Cigar Bar. We appreciate you for being with us. If you're there on YouTube, smash the like button. Facebook, please like the page and share the post. And also shout out to Roback, who hooked us up with some gear. The shirt is Roback. Yeah. It's awesome. It's pinned in the chat. If you use the code LSU20, LSU20, you get 20% off. They've got 3 different LSU pattern shirts, which are all fire. It feels awesome.
If you see a video of me calling Texas pussies in a Roback shirt, do not retweet the video. but just understand that I'm very comfortable while I'm making that video. Don't retweet it, though. Ignore it. It didn't matter. It didn't exist. But just know that I felt very good making the video.
The funny thing is, when the Roback people reached out to us, I genuinely didn't know anything about the brand. And then I saw it, and I was like, oh, the little dog logo.
The little dog logo, yeah.
Musso wears Roback like every day.
Of course he does.
What does that mean?
It's a very white guy, golfer-esque, polo sort of situation.
Got it.
Like, I'm sure Hunt has a couple Robacks stashed away somewhere as well.
Yeah, probably.
Almost assuredly.
But I'm going to tell you, no lie, this shirt's really fucking
cool. And to defend Moose, I've seen Moose doing the gritty in a bar and making out with a chick in the bar, and I was very impressed. I've seen video. I have my spies everywhere, and I've seen videos from a while back, but I'll never forget it. I was blown away. Moose just bringing it. She was like 6 inches taller than him. He was fucking killing it, dude. He was fucking killing it, dude. But he murdered that gritty, I'm telling you, bro.
Got it.
And he looked good wearing the Roback while doing so.
Code LSU20 saves you 20% at Roback. We got Roback pinned in the chat on both Facebook and YouTube. All right, Super Chats, and then we'll get to
all right, we got a lot of Super Chats. Neil Johnson, $5 Super Chat. T-Bob, murder of Crows aside, does LSU make it back to Atlanta? Offense looked good, but defense showed some weaknesses. So that is kind of the grander point that we're probably going to get into in the latter half of the show, is that, like Matt is alluding to, did LSU struggle against FSU? Absolutely. Was there a lot of good there, especially in the first half? Absolutely. Did you see a lot of offensive good tonight that, free of context, any other year you would be excited about? Absolutely. So, yes, LSU remains as alive in the SEC as they ever have because Jalen Milroe doesn't look great. They don't look like they have weapons that can stress you. If Tulane has Michael Pratt, I think fucking Tulane probably wins that game against Ole Miss.
Did you watch a lot of that game?
On and off.
The most stunning part. So when that game was on, I had A&M on my TV, and I had Ole Miss, Tulane on my tablet. So I was watching them both kind of simultaneously. I did not have the sound on the Ole Miss game, but I was curious. I wanted to see Ole Miss. I did not watch Ole Miss score 70 against Mercer. Don't give a shit. I'm trying to pull up the box score right now because I was stunned
at Tulane's defense?
At how Tulane controlled the line of
scrimmage. For a long time, dude.
Let's see.
Tulane. And at the end, the lack of Pratt got to him because who's the backup? Kai Horton? Kai Horton did pretty well, but at the end, he was starting to hold on to it a little long, and you saw, he ended up in a fumble touchdown to make it look bigger than it was.
So Tulane finished with 45 rushes for 111 yards, but Horton had negative 28 because of sacks. Right?
Yeah.
So you'd add 20. I hate that sack yardage counts against.
Yeah, we got to change that in the NCAA. What are we doing?
The NFL doesn't do it. It's just it's a team loss.
It's so goddamn stupid.
Which should be. But anyway, it should just be like a team statistical yardage loss, not a rushing play. But anyway, so it really would have been 40 for 140-ish. But it felt like they
I believe in my heart that LSU's O-line is way better than Tulane's O-line.
And maybe this is the bigger part of
it.
And
LSU's D-line is way better than Tulane's D-line.
With Quinshon Judkins running, Quinshon had 18 for 48. Ole Miss ran 35 times today for 89 yards.
Yeah, it's bad.
35 rushes for 89. Ole Miss got beaten on the line of scrimmage today. Now, I know you're going to look and see 37-20. The score got out of hand late because Tulane... They
had the fumble. They had the fumble that led to a touchdown.
But then also Tulane, had to go for it late in the game on a short field because they were down. Don't let 37-20 deceive you.
Yeah, I agree.
Tulane scored and got within a score. It was a one-score game with 2 minutes to go. They just needed a stop, and they didn't get the stop. So, if they had gotten a stop, then they have a chance to maybe win it, but they didn't, and Ole Miss scored late and stretched their lead. So, good for Ole Miss, but, that wasn't no three-score game, brother.
No, not at all. Not at all. Ole Miss was in trouble the entire time until the very end. So, again, to our original point, Alabama loses to Texas. Now, to me, that's a bit like FSU, where as much as I fucking hate to admit it, Texas looked strong. The D-line looked fucking good. Quinn Ewers looked fucking good. Steve Sarkisian looked like Steve Sarkisian, calling a really good game plan. And so, at the same token, don't mistake Alabama tonight for being just absolutely weak, right? But definitely vulnerable. Ole Miss, not impressed with. Mississippi State, I think they ended up getting the win in overtime. Not overly impressed with. Auburn, they're losing to Cal right now at half. Not impressed. So the SEC West remains wide open, and you have as much of a chance as any other team as emerging out of the West because FSU doesn't count as a SEC loss.
Yes. It's the same
situation as last year.
Except Bama doesn't look good.
Yeah, they don't have Bryce Young.
Tell me what
A&M's
game.
defense is garbage, bro.
Dude, I went when we were at Media Days. I went on Feinbaum's show with Paul, and we were sitting there, and it was radio. It was not TV. It was radio only that day. Whenever for some reason I don't remember why, but it was radio only. And so I'm sitting there, and I said to Paul what I've said to like literally everybody that we've talked about last year. So there are undeniable coexisting realities about Alabama.
Ooh, I love a good coexisting truth.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here is the coexisting truth. Alabama was a field goal at the gun on the road away and a 2-point conversion on the road away from being undefeated.
Yeah.
That is undeniable. They are. If that kick is off, or if Mason Taylor doesn't catch that ball, Bama is 12-0. That is undeniable.
Yeah.
What is also true is Bryce Young's Houdini act against Texas on that corner blitz. The game is over.
Yeah.
Corner gets him. Bama doesn't have time. It is over.
Like Bama doesn't win the close games either that they won that year.
One?
With that, yeah.
A&M had a pass into the end zone on the final play to win it.
Break it up to win.
Ole Miss had a pass into the end zone on the final play to win it.
Yeah.
They are 3 plays away from being 7-5.
Well,
there
there is a pretty fascinating
But they
stat.
had Bryce Young, and he was phenomenal, and he bailed them out a ton. And so now you go from Bryce Young to Jalen Milroe,
who looks weak.
Like, I said my pick on Bama this year was 9. I thought they'd go 9-3 in the regular season. That was my pick on Alabama. I did it on the record. And I get it. We all fuck up picks, man. I had Clemson winning the ACC. I picked LSU to win the Natty. I get it. Like, you're not going to get them all right. But the point being, there were obvious warning signs about the league this year. You have to objectively say the quarterbacks in the SEC this year are bad.
Yeah,
I liked LSU because I was like, they got a fifth-year guy who accounted for 70% of their offense a year ago coming back. When look at the rest of the league.
And he's been pretty good so far, you know. So no, I think like we're alluding to, I think all of that holds true through 2 weeks. But again, that's nothing that anybody's going to engage in until you go and prove it. And it is a long season. It's a long season.
Just tell me, by the way, Cal's beating Auburn 10-7.5. I mean, look at the SEC's Power 5 non-conferences right now. South Carolina got punked by North Carolina. Yep. LSU loses to Florida State. Yep. Florida looked terrible at Utah.
North Carolina beat the fuck out of South Carolina.
I said that first.
Oh, what are you going to do?
Bama just lost to Texas. A&M lost at Miami. Auburn's losing at Cal. Did Mississippi State end up winning?
I think they ended up winning in OT.
But they had to go to overtime as a 9-point home favorite against Arizona.
Arizona's maybe sneaky good, but I feel you.
Jedfish's first year there, they won 1 game. Last year they were 5-7. He is trending up.
And Jaden Delore is good. Their quarterback is good. Arizona's is. But the point stands. Whatever. The original point stands. It's a weak SEC year, dude. It just is. It's a weak SEC year.
The league is down. It is a weird one-off. It is a weird one-off year.
Do you think it's a function of the portal?
He's a good coach, too.
The same way that you talk about Alabama's maybe relative weakness, because, again, that's another thing with Alabama, is that there was some stat last year, at the end of last year, that was floating around where it was something like 50% of the one-score games. That's a great cigar. It was something like 50% of the one-score games in the Saban era had come in the last 2 seasons. So but Matt, so you've pointed to like the weakening of Alabama may be a function of the transfer portal. You're seeing that potentially in the entire conference. This conference recruits the best, but what happens if you have a 4-star that's sitting on the bench? Well, fucking everybody that recruited him in high school is like, hey, man, come here. Yeah. Play immediately.
My theory.
And so you're seeing a democratization of talent among the Power 5 that I thought it would lead to a concentration, and maybe it still does. But honestly, thus far this year, maybe I'm wrong. It feels like it's more democratized than it's been since like 2007.
My theory on Bama is forever and ever and ever, and this goes back to when you were playing.
Yeah.
We would do these. I remember just forever talking about this on AFR, where people would ask, like, how does Nick get these guys to stay?
Yeah.
Because there was a I'll try to do this very, very quickly because I don't know that everyone wants to get bogged down in this shit. But LSU for a long time would redshirt guys to try to be more experienced on the back end. The example I always give is Michael Brockers. Michael Brockers redshirted in 09, played sparingly as a redshirt freshman in 10, and then in 11 went kaboom and went to the NFL, was a first-round pick, and you basically got 1 year out of Michael Brockers.
Yeah.
So after that, LSU kind of flipped its approach and were like, we're going to be the place that plays freshmen. And so they touted the shit out of the fact that they played freshmen all the time.
Well, and also you weren't winning the Alabama game, but you were winning the NFL talent race.
But at that time
they leaned
were.
into NFL LSU.
But
LSU.
At that time, Les had a winning record against Nick. He beat him in 7, in 10 and 11. He was 3-2, and then until they lost the Natty, and it was 3-3 against him.
Yeah, 3-3.
So, but my point is, like, this is without the context of an 8-game losing streak in that series. So LSU became the team that, like, hey, 5-star, come, because we're going to let you play as a freshman. You ain't redshirting. 3, and you're in the league. So that's why, like, you'd have these guys leave early and go to the draft. You're like, why is that guy leaving early? Because he came here under Malachi Dupree's a great example. He came in that class as a 5-star with Fournette and with Jamal Adams, and it was like, fuck it, 3 years and I'm in the league. That's it. When he should have come back. But Nick always got guys to come back. It was like, how can he do it? Then LSU flipped, and when they flipped, it was Lyle. Lyle was the first player that was a stud that they convinced to come back, and he had a year that in 14 where he should have been a first-round pick, but for all the shenanigans around his draft. But then it became, let's make sure we keep our guys. And then in 16, you had Posick come back, and you had guys like Greg Gilmore and
you also
and
they also started putting like resources into we got to re-recruit these guys because they realized that you were just losing guys left and right. But I feel your overall point is that with the transfer portal,
hold on real quick. Rob
Alabama lost
said Matt's telling T-Bob like he wasn't there.
No.
When you're a player,
no.
When you're a player, seriously, when you're a player, you are not your impression, your purview of the program is different from the inside than it is from the outside. Like, coaches are not having those conversations.
Well, and it's even a situation, like, if we want to engage in nuance, like with LSU specifically, it's even a situation where in 2011, the disappointment was so great that in 2012, when shit got actually dangerously close to a natty but fell short, a lot of that team was like, fuck it, I'm out. You know, like, I don't want to fucking deal with it anymore. Yeah. Like, I'll try my hand at the NFL, and I'll either make it or I won't. And you had some guys like Trey Turner who fucking made it big. And you had other guys like Chris Falk who maybe should have stayed but ended up going because he was just fucking done. So, like, there's nuance in all of this. Where
Trey White came back at 16.
Where there is objective truth is that Alabama, despite recruiting at the same level that they always have, has looked and factually been more beatable the last 3 years than they have ever been in the Saban era. And correlation does not necessarily equal causation, but if we're trying to math it out, the portal, look at all the Alabama transfers, a bit of slacking of the depth, maybe they have to rely on young guys more, like it does line up. And that passes to the SEC as a whole. Because, again, the SEC recruits better than anyone, but if you stack a roster with 4 stars, you're going to have a bunch of very good fucking players that aren't playing, and they're going to want to go somewhere else and go play.
All right, Super Chats. Go.
All right.
Shout out to everybody watching. Craig
Brian
Ranger,
Williams with a $5 Super Chat.
Chad Mollason, DK Broward. So many shout outs to people. Cortland Jacob. Appreciate y'all. Music, Palermo Trapani, Danny T04, Hal Jubin, Neil Johnson. Appreciate y'all watching. Smash the like button if you would. And again, if you click that Roback link that's pinned in the chat, code LSU20, LSU20, get you 20% off your order.
Brian Williams, love you, T-Bob. Matt, lighten up. Hunter Fournette. Matt, you spent your practice reports charting Nuss incompletions. Let's be honest. Zach Major.
Factually inaccurate, but
Zach
okay.
Major with the $20 Super Chat and then a $10 Super Chat. T-Bob, grow a mullet. Go Tigers. FSU's the toughest opponent on the schedule, in my opinion.
How about Quinn Ewers shaving his mullet and his mustache and all that stuff? How do you feel about this? I think he lost the ledge. It's like wild thing, like Rick Vaughn when he shaved his head.
I feel like I can't talk shit about Quinn Ewers anymore, so I'm going to just back off that until whatever. I've lost that battle, dude. I've lost that battle.
But Ewers is a good player.
I know. That's what I'm saying. And I tried to shit on him, and I got fucking burned.
D. Frank Massico said, guys, love the show. What are you smoking? This is a
see it again.
I don't know. This shit is fire, though. I like this significantly better than last week's was.
This is it's a Bolivar. I'm trying to see if there's any other. Usually Clay sends us where are you, Clay Young?
Yeah,
Slacker.
Where's the buttery, smooth, leathery mouthfeel?
Yeah.
I want to feel like I got a rubbery dildo in my mouth.
Oh. No.
So Zach does go to T-Bob, grow mullet, go Tigers.
Why would he say
FSU's the toughest opponent on the schedule, in my opinion. I feel good about the rest of the schedule. Secondary just needs work. Yeah, I mean, look, I would say you're still going to be favored in every game except for Alabama, from what I've seen thus far. So I think that's pretty accurate. Hunter Fournette, that's rich. Matt saying someone else should be respectful. LMFAO, joke the fuck out. Juan Tonka, greetings from Key West. My bachelor party, go Tigers. What's up, Juan? Happy bachelor party, bruh.
Good dude, man.
I agree, dude.
Juan's an OG. Juan used to listen on.
No, I know.
On,
Juan's been supporting me since fucking WWL days.
Yeah, he listened to
fucking pot.
Juan used to listen to the Score 1210.
I remember meeting Juan.
He was one of the 6 people that listened to that station.
I remember meeting Juan before the Wisconsin game at Reliant back in the day outside the stadium.
2014, yeah, man.
Neil Johnson.
Shit.
Okay, this
is Adesanya getting beat? Edward O. Nuss bus driver said Strickland's beating up. Are you watching it? You're watching the fight?
Alondra, you're a UFC girl? Look at Alondra with the fight on the cell phone. How are you watching the fight? Okay, girl.
You bought the PPV? You're pirating it?
She bought it.
She bought
it. Don't worry.
Yes.
You know what, Alondra? Pirating the fight stream is even a more fucking real move. Like, that's how you know you're actually about that shit. Good job, Alondra.
I didn't know Alondra was into the
okay, so Neil Johnson did not give a super chat, but it's a question worth answering, and I don't have great thoughts on it. Thoughts on Mason Smith's first game back?
So I expected like some big moments. He didn't play at all in the second half.
No, it was a 30-play snap count. We already knew it coming in.
And it was more, I think, given the opponent, it probably wasn't a game that was really conducive to seeing him make an impact. Does that make sense?
It does. I would frame it like this. I kind of don't care either way, right? I wanted him to have this game to get his feet wet again. Because when you're coming back from a major injury, it's insecure. And if you're an elite athlete, you're not used to being insecure. You're used to having the irrational confidence of, oh, wait, I've been fucking dominating kids since I was like 6 years old anytime I stepped on a football field. Then all of a sudden, like Mason Smith, I mean, we went through it. His freshman year, he didn't play the final 4 games because of an ankle injury. He played the bowl game. Then he gets hurt 8 plays in. Like Wilson Alexander had a really good write-up in The Advocate on Friday chronicling how tough the journey for Mason Smith has been, and it's infused with all kind of personal disappointments, like his dog dying and other kind of devastating shit. But I guess
his dog dying?
It's fucking awful, man. Wow. When he originally tore his ACL, he bought a dog. His mom was like, "You sure you want to take this on?" He's like, "Yeah, man. I just want to." Him and his dog, they recover together. He's feeling good. He gets hurt during camp. He hurts his ankle. His fucking dog dies.
Oh, God.
Like, he gets suspended by the NCAA 2 days later. Like, it is a true shitstorm of bad luck. It's devastating, right? So, for me, I wasn't really watching Mason Smith needing to be great. I just needed him to get live reps to be like, okay, this is what it feels like to be in a game again. Like, I'm not judging Mason Smith based on this game. Mason Smith is going to be a fucking dog. I believe that in my heart. Did he flash tonight? No. Again, I'll watch film, and I'm going to break him down specifically, but I'm not overly concerned about it. Like, this is a game where he needed to feel what it felt like to be like, okay, my knees are at risk. I'm playing football. I'm fucking locking out. I'm ripped. Like, and then you build from there. Like, if I know one thing about Mason Smith, he's a supreme talent. He's going to be just fine. But no, Neil, I mean, I don't think that I saw anything out of Mason Smith tonight that was like overwhelming. But I'll be fucking damned. Like, I fucking believe that by the end of this year, we're going to look up and Mason Smith's going to make some big fucking plays. I believe that in my heart. This was a game for him to reacclimate.
Listen, can Cats do an NIL deal with Nuss? Like Cats, the bus system in Baton Rouge?
Like the Nuss
I mean,
bus.
that's a good bit.
That's a great
That's
idea.
a good bit.
That's
Why
a
not,
great
dude?
idea.
I mean, everybody wins.
It's the Nuss bus.
Everybody wins.
Although Cats is like a public transportation thing. I don't think like the city of Baton Rouge is doing it.
Look, man.
I don't think the city is doing an
Nothing
NIL.
has ever stopped Louisiana from getting a little greasy.
But that's how Tiger Stadium got built. Huey Long's like, we'll make it a dorm. That's what we'll do.
Those Children's Hospital, they got a lot of people donating money to the hospital. They needed some money for the parents. Lee Pilcher, $2 super chat. RDBs don't turn to play the ball. I miss Corey Raymond. Yeah, man, look, the secondary is certainly disappointing post Corey Raymond.
They desperately miss Corey Raymond.
Yeah,
That was a huge miss by Brian Kelly.
Yeah, it was bad.
Not retaining Corey Raymond. And I got
the ball, and the jury's still out on Tommy Moffitt. I can accept all the counter arguments.
It's not a.
But if we want to talk about the NFL guys, Tommy Moffitt was the X factor between Saban, Miles, Ogeron. The one constant when LSU was putting more people in the NFL than anybody was Tommy Moffitt. So nobody's infallible.
It's not a. And this isn't even hindsight's 2020. So I remember you and I did Scone and T, and we looked at the staff. Whenever when Kelly was hired.
Yeah, who's better, who's worse?
We went position by position. Number two, Greg McMahon, special teams.
Yeah.
And Corey Raymond.
Yeah, and still,
every other spot, you improved your staff.
And to be fair, they choose not to go with like a true special teams coach this offseason, and I'm not giving special teams any credit tonight. I feel bad, but like the jury is very much still out on the Diaco special teams, whether or not they're good. So you miss Corey Raymond. I agree.
Oh, real quick, the player who was wearing 92. Who you were asking? Who was 92?
Yeah, who was 92?
So that was Deshaun Womack.
Oh, okay, Womack. Nice
no,
fucking tackle on
so
kickoff.
So Womack wears 17, but Chris Hilton also wears 17.
Yep.
And they're both on the kickoff team.
Yeah.
And so you can't have two players wearing the same jersey number. So Womack put on a 92. There's nobody was issued 92.
Well,
so he put on 92 and covered the kick and made the tackle where he choke slam.
And if nothing else, that's a step above Sunbelt Billy, who had two players wear number 3 on the field at the same time last week. Right?
Against
Matt, I've talked about this in
Utah.
my other shows, but Sunbelt Billy is an inescapable nickname. Donald Trump taught us in 2016 the devastating effect that a nickname can have, and Sunbelt Billy, I don't know if there's any coming back from it. We'll see.
What was the nickname in 2016?
Oh, I just feel like I don't want to get into politics, but I just feel like he had a nickname for every Republican candidate that he was going up against, and people just fucking hammered it, right? So in the same way, how do you overcome Sunbelt Billy? We'll see.
Bilbo said this Taco Bell drive-through his cheeks, y'all.
Yeah.
I love Taco Bell, too.
I don't like Taco Bell.
Can we bring back the double-decker, please?
I don't give a fuck about Taco Bell. Taco Bell could go fucking burn up in a fire for all I care about.
I disagree with this, by the way. If anybody from Taco Bell is watching, I love you. I love your Doritos Locos tacos. I love the double-decker. I hope you bring it back. I love getting a giant bag of food for a very small amount of money and eating it all, and it tastes delicious, and I don't even regret it after. So I love you, Taco Bell. I'm not siding with him on this. I love you, Taco Bell.
I think you are an Oppenheimer level of gastrointestinal bomb that should never be cheered on when drunk, because the only thing it leads to is massive fecal issues.
I disagree.
And
I've never had that.
breaking the next day, dude.
Never had that issue.
Braden LaRussa, great to see Shelton Sampson out there tonight. Wish he could have brought down that TD Catholic High.
Yeah, Shelton dropped what would have been a touchdown, unfortunately.
Hunter Fournette, Wise just Catholic High wide receiver dropping 2 TDs. That's the next super chat. Miller Galt, $10 super chat. Sick of the gun formation inside the 5, get under center. I'm not sick of it. You just got to execute better, man. I mean, it's football nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know a lot of the old heads want you to be under center in the red zone, but like, it's just kind of not football nowadays. So I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with it. I think you just got to execute better. Thomas Jorkison says, did y'all know I couldn't find a national championship winner that didn't have a top 5 offense or defense nationally Wink, wink, keyword or.
Well, I mean, the thing that, well, whatever.
I don't think LSU needs to be worried about national championships. You know what I'm saying? Like LSU needs to be worried about what's the next fucking game. Win the next fucking game, get better, and then try to build off each fucking week after that. I ain't worried about fucking natties. That was the thing about the Florida State game, is that it changed expectations. Now, it's fucking beat Mississippi State, beat Ole Miss. Maybe win the West.
We got 4 minutes.
Compete in the SEC. All right, let's get Miller Galt with a 10
Smash the like button. Smash the like button.
Miller Galt, I think it's hilarious to see folks with money trying to be friends with the players. They have no clue what some of these kids have been through, and they want to be cool because they're money, NIL. Miller, I'm not fucking mad at people playing the players. Fuck it, dude. I don't know. I don't know what that means. I want players to get fucking paid. Patrick B., I like to call A&M ass-to-mouth university. Yeah, I agree, dude. If you want to go ass-to-mouth, that's fine, but you got to be hygienic about it. Like, if you're really going to go ass-to-mouth, do not do it on a whim. Right? We need to be planning enemas. We need to make sure that everything's hygienic, because otherwise you're going to get pink eye. You're going to get gastrointestinal issues on the level of Taco Bell.
Nope.
So I agree.
You've used a bidet, yeah? We've talked about this.
Oh, yeah. I love a bidet.
We were in Napa in February.
Spray my asshole with that water.
We were in Napa in February, and I used a bidet for the first time, and I get it.
It's unbelievable.
I get it.
It's unbelievable.
Like, the rest of the world has this right. We have it wrong.
We're actually wasting an unbelievable amount of toilet paper.
Now, the one uncomfortable thing, though, is when you're wet down there and then you try to use toilet paper, then you get the little toilet. What do you call it? The little toilet paper?
Dingleberries kind of hanging out. Yeah.
That's the problem.
Well, that's where you pad. You don't swipe. If you're too wet and you swipe, shit's going to ball up.
Yeah.
If you pad and drop, then you're good to go. Pad, same thing.
No, it's not the same thing.
It's exactly the same thing.
It's not at all.
Sean CM with a $20 super chat. Thank you, Sean. Kyle Gayot says T-Bob going to have hemorrhoids the size of golf balls from all that pushing. OTB going to have hemorrhoid doing T-Bob doing hemorrhoid cream bad soon. No, Kyle, you motherfucker.
Tyler Van Dyke threw for 374.
Which is like what Tyler Van Dyke was 2 years ago, though, to be fair. But on the hemorrhoid front, no. Kegels help with hemorrhoids, okay? They do not take away from them. My anal muscles are stronger than your biceps. Swear to God. That's all the super chats. Van Dyke looked great, though, dude.
Like, if you're an LSU fan today, as much as last week sucked, you can look today at the landscape of this conference and go, all right, nothing is scary.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of agree with that, actually.
Like, are you worried about going to A&M?
No.
Are you worried about playing Arkansas at home?
No.
Are you worried about going to Ole Miss?
No,
Are
particularly.
you worried about going to Missouri?
No.
Home against Auburn, who's losing right now to Cal.
Now, that's not to say that I'm like, we're just going to win all those games.
I know,
but you can, and you'll be favored in all of those games.
But that's been the point. It's like the schedule is in LSU's favor, and now it looks even more so because you look at the rest of the league, and the league is down. Objectively, the league is down right now. So
even Georgia looks like shit. Do not pay attention to Georgia's box scores. They look like shit. Georgia fans are fucking furious with Mike Bobo. I am still a believer that Georgia will shit the bed in the biggest moments this year.
Bro, Georgia was a breath away from losing to Ohio State last year.
I know.
I know. It's so hard to win.
But people, they want to fucking hate on Stetson, dude. They think they spent 2 years trying to say that Stetson was a bitch. And now he's fucking balling in the NFL.
Stetson was just a bitch who had the best team. He was a 30-year-old.
He wasn't a bitch, though, dude.
He wasn't a 30-year-old with the best team.
He was 30, but he wasn't a bitch, though. That's my point. Stetson was a fucking dog in the big games. Carson Beck is a beta male thus far.
Are we done? All right, I think we're done. Shout out Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Shout out Don Juan.
Shout out Roback as well.
Shout out fucking Roback. Shout out everybody hanging out with us.
Code
Hit the like button, subscribe. Shout out Alondra.
Shout out Alondra.
A fucking another great night of production, Alondra.
Did Izzy lose?
I mean, no.
Is he lost? It's going to the Cards?
Yeah, but Alondra called it, dude. She's called it. She already fucking knows.
I can't believe Strickland beat Izzy.
Yeah, I told you. I fucking told you Strickland was going to beat Izzy.
You don't know shit about shit.
Oh, I texted you earlier this week. Prove it. I fucking told. Hey, I told him. I'm telling y'all.
You see, if you just went to I texted you, I can go to our text chain and see.
No, but I unsent it. I unsent it because I unsent it, dude.
Yep, saw it. All right, shout out Don Juan. Shout out Roback. Code
Love
LSU
y'all.
20.
Go Tigers. We out here, bitch. Fuck you, Grambling.